Chapter 8. I woke facing the empty sky, my back against crisp green earth. Tall bunches of grass brushed against my cheeks and ankles, and the wind carried a bitter chill that was twining its way into my bones. I pulled myself up, breathing hard. This wasn't home. I was on the top of a hill, no palace in sight, and in place of Jindara was the sea. I could see it from every direction, the grey water lapping the shore. Rakama had stranded me on an island. One, from the looks of it, in the far north. The moon was as large as my fist and still shone in the morning sky. Anger swelled in my chest, but I balled my fists, pushing it away. I'd be angry later. Right. Now, I needed to get out of here, I needed to find my brothers and return home. I scanned the landscape below, noticing specks of rusted red and brown along the shore, fishing boats, a faint promise of civilization. I hiked up my tattered skirts and scrambled down the hill. Before long, I heard horse hooves stuttering against a dirt road. What luck! I thought, racing in their direction. I flailed my arms, and started to open my mouth to shout out to them. I'd simply tell them I was Princess Shiori, the Emperor's daughter. They would be more than pleased to bring me home. But the coarse laughter of men and the flashes of steel blades carelessly wielded in their hands stopped me mid-step. Hey, you! One yelled, spotting me from afar. Girl with the hat, halt! Fear swooped in my gut. I'd heard plenty of stories about the perils of Kyoto's roads, bandits being the most dangerous of all. I disappeared into the bushes. 100 steps in, I shed my outer robe so I could move faster. My teeth chattering from the cold, I ran, following the pallid rising sun above me, so small and white it looked nothing like the sun I was used to seeing at home. When the hill was far behind, and but a mound against the grey-blue sea, I slowed to catch my breath. The bandits hadn't followed, thank the eternal courts, and I'd come across a flooded rice field. A village couldn't be far off. Searching for a path, I raised my hand to shield my eyes from the sun. But when my fingers brushed against wood instead of skin, the bandit's words came thundering back to me. Girl with the hat, he had yelled. My heart gave a lurch. There was something on my head. Not a hat. A bowl, wooden and unyielding. Try as I might, I could not take it off. Was this Rakama's magic? I knelt by my reflection in a shallow pool, staring at myself. The bowl was deep, covering my eyes and my nose, yet I could see perfectly, as if the wood were no more substantial than a shadow. That wasn't the case for my reflection. No matter what angle I tilted my face, the bowl covered my eyes and obscured everything above my lips. A hard lump formed in my throat as the burning heat in my chest returned. Father wouldn't recognize me like this. No one would. I'll write to him, I told myself determinedly. The moment I reached the nearest village, I would send a letter telling father where I was. We'd find my brothers, and some enchanter somewhere had to have the power to undo what my stepmother had done. Then, against the grey clouds gathering in the east, 6 birds soared across the sky. My heart leapt to my throat as I remembered my stepmother's curse. Brothers! I yelled. The word tasted like ash, but I didn't stop to wonder why. I cut across the rice field toward the sea, flailing my arms. The birds flew on. No, no, no. They had to see me. They couldn't go. Come back. Brothers. Panicking, I tore off my slipper and flung it at them. My shoe arced into the air, a blur of bright pink barely higher than the trees around me. It had no chance of scraping the sky. Brothers. I pleaded one last time. Please. At last the birds stopped. I dared hope that they'd seen me. No. They were falling. Plummeting. Flightless, as if someone had clipped their wings. It happened so fast all I could do was watch, horror twisting in my belly. I rushed to the beach, almost screaming when I came upon the 6 birds lying lifeless in the sand. But my breath caught before I could make a sound, 6 ghostly serpents, each as transparent and dark as a shadow, glided out from beneath the dead bird's wings. They serpents reared up, rising to the height of my waist and meeting me with their ominous yellow eyes. This is your only warning, they hissed. Next time, it will be your brothers who perish, one for each sound you make. Their work done, they faded into oblivion. And to my horror and relief, I saw that the birds weren't cranes at all, but swans. They weren't my brothers, but they were dead because of me. 6 swans, one for each of the 6 words I had spoken. For so long as this bowl rests on your head, with every sound that passes your lips, one of your brothers shall die, my stepmother had said. A well of grief opened in my throat as I suddenly understood Rekama's curse. I wanted to shout, to yell, to cry, to show myself that it wasn't true, that it was a terrible, terrible mistake. But the 6 dead swans, their eyes black and glassy, their long white necks twisted and bruised, assured me it was not so. I crumpled to my knees, a silent sob burning in my lungs. My stepmother had broken me. She'd cast me away from my brothers, my family, my home. Even from myself. Tears trickled down my cheeks. I wept until it hurt to breathe, and my eyes were so swollen I could not tell the sky from the sea. I didn't know how long I sat there, rocking myself from side to side, but as the tide began to rise, I finally did too. Wits, Shiori, I told myself, wiping my cheeks dry with my sleeve. Crying will do you no good. Languishing out here, despairing over what's happened, is exactly what Rekama wants. She wanted me to suffer, maybe even to die. You can't break the curse if you're dead. You'll certainly die if you spend all day out here, wallowing about like some self-pitying fool. Wits, Shiori, I repeated. I needed food. I needed shelter and money. All things I'd never had to worry about before. I fumbled at my waistband, at my neck and my wrists and my long fluted sleeves. There was nothing. No coral necklace, no jade pendant, no bracelet strung of pearls. Not a single coin or even an embroidered fan I could pawn off. For the first time, I regretted not letting my servants deck me with jewels or adorn my hair with gold pins and silken flowers. I searched all my pockets, even the ones inside my innermost robe. Nothing. Then, out of the last pocket, something came fluttering. Kiki eased herself out of the fabric, bending her neck and wings to smooth out their wrinkles. She landed on my lap, her paper face somehow expressing concern. Kiki. I cried in my thoughts. She heard me, and she opened a wing to stroke the flesh of my palm. That simple caress was enough to bring tears to my eyes again, this time with relief. I wasn't alone. I cupped her in my hands and pressed her against my cheek. I can't speak, I told her. Even my thoughts sounded wretched. My words, they bring death, they killed the swans. My paper bird was quiet for a moment. Then she said, surprisingly gently, what are words? But silly sounds that tire the tongue? You don't need them to find your brothers. You have me, and you won't be alone, not as long as we search together. No more tears until we find them, all right? Kiki's promise moved me. I hadn't expected so much from my bird, and I held her against me, keeping her safe as the waves crashed around us. Find the light that makes your lantern shine, Mama would say. Now, more than ever, Kiki was that light. All right, I agreed. By the way, Kiki said, settling on my palm, I think those bandits back there were actually fishermen. Why didn't you say anything? I was stuck in your pocket. At that, I smiled. A little bit of my old strength returned. Together, we found Tianyi village, the only village on this island. With my chin high and nose to the sky, I walked the streets with the air and dignity of a princess. But no one cared how daintily I walked, how gracefully I gestured, or how proudly I could move my lips without speaking. All they saw was my torn and mudded dress, my dirty feet, the odd bowl on my head. All they understood was that I could not speak. And so they spurned my silent entreaties and turned me away. It's just a matter of time before father finds me, I reminded myself grimly. Gods, I hoped Gia was still alive. She had to have heard my brothers fighting against Reikama. She would tell the guards, who would tell the emperor, and father would force Reikama to undo the curse. All I had to do was survive until then. Except how did one survive on nothing? I tried begging, but no one would help a strange girl with a wooden bowl stuck on her head. I tried writing in the dirt for food, but no one could read. Children gathered to mock me, and some villagers threw stones, calling me a demon, but I couldn't speak to defend myself or look them in the eye. After 3 days of being ignored and spat on, of sleeping outside with nothing but rainwater to fill my belly, my hopes deflated. Hunger made me desperate. Desperation made me bold. When the next dawn arrived, I sneaked out to the grey-watered bay, where all the fishermen docked their vessels, and uncaught the rope to one of the shrimping boats. I didn't notice a woman's dark profile looming over me until it was too late. No one steals from Mrs. Danon, she hissed, raising a fishing pole. Before I could react, it came whacking down on the wooden bowl on my head, so hard that my ears rang and the world spun. I collapsed.